From tiny red dwarfs to brilliant supernova, the life cycle of a star is truly fascinating. How do stars form? How do they die? And what happens in between? Are there different stellar fates for different types of stars? The answers to these questions have fascinated scientists for centuries. Today, we'll explore the latest research on this topic and see how the study of stellar evolution helps us understand our place in the universe. Stars are born in giant clouds of gas and dust called nebulae, stars. Gravity pulls the gas together, the core of the star begins to heat up. When the core reaches a critical temperature, nuclear fusion ignites, creating a star. The star then begins to shine, and over time it will begin to produce heavier elements. The first stars were born around 200 million years after the Big Bang. These stars were massive, hot, and blue, and they lived fast, hot lives that lasted only a few million years. Today, most of the stars in the universe are much less massive than the first stars. In fact, the average star is about half the mass of our Sun. These stars live much longer lives than their massive cousins, and they make up the bulk of the stars in the night sky. Our Sun is one of these stars, and it is about halfway through its life cycle. It is about 4.6 billion years old, and is expected to live for another 4.6 billion years. So where do stars go when they die? That depends on their mass. Low-mass stars like our Sun will end their lives as white dwarfs. Medium-mass stars will end their lives as neutron stars or black holes. High-mass stars will end their lives as supernova. Some of these stars will also produce neutron stars or black holes. Let's take a closer look at each of these stellar fates. White dwarfs are the final stage in the life of a low-mass star like our Sun. When a star like our Sun reaches the end of its life, it will have exhausted most of its hydrogen fuel. At this point, the star will begin to collapse under the force of its own gravity. As the star collapses, it will form a small, dense ball of matter. This ball will be very hot, but as it continues to cool, it will eventually fade away into the blackness of space. Neutron stars are the final stage in the life of a medium-mass star. When a star like our Sun reaches the end of its life, it will have exhausted most of its hydrogen fuel. At this point, the star will begin to collapse under the force of its own gravity. However, for a star with about 3 times the mass of our Sun, the collapse will be much more dramatic. The star will explode in a supernova, leaving behind a small, incredibly dense ball of matter. This ball will be so heavy that gravity will crush it into a sphere only a few miles wide. The pressure and heat inside this sphere will be so extreme that it will force the electrons and protons to combine, forming neutrons. This will create a neutron star. Neutron stars are incredibly dense. A teaspoon of neutron star material would weigh billions of pounds on Earth. They are also very hot, with temperatures reaching millions of degrees. Slow. Over time, the neutron star will cool, and it will fade away into the blackness of space. Black holes are the final stage in the life of a very massive star. When a star like our Sun reaches the end of its life, it will have exhausted most of its hydrogen fuel. At this point, the star will begin to collapse under the force of its own gravity. For a star with about 8 times the mass of our Sun, the collapse will be even more dramatic. The star will explode in a supernova, leaving behind a small, incredibly dense ball of matter. Its ball will be so massive that gravity will crush it into a region of infinite density. This region will be surrounded by an event horizon, the boundary beyond which nothing can escape. Black holes are invisible because not even light can escape from them. They are also incredibly powerful, with gravity so strong that it can tear apart anything that comes too close. Black holes can grow in size over time as they consume nearby matter. Eventually, they will fade away into the blackness of space. Supernova are the final stage in the life of a high-mass star. When a star like our Sun reaches the end of its life, it will have exhausted most of its hydrogen fuel. At this point, the star will begin to collapse under the force of its own gravity. For a star with about 8 times the mass of our Sun, the collapse will be the most dramatic. The star will explode in a supernova, leaving behind a small, incredibly dense ball of matter. This ball may be a neutron star or a black hole. Supernova are the most violent events in the universe. They can outshine galaxies by billions of times a day. They are also incredibly rare, occurring only once every few hundred years in our galaxy. When a supernova occurs, it leaves behind a cloud of gas and dust. This gas and dust can then be used to form new stars and planets. In this way, supernovae play an important role in the life cycle of stars. Now that we know how stars die, let's take a moment to appreciate just how amazing they are. Stars are giant balls of burning gas that can live for billions of years. They are responsible for creating the elements that make life possible. And when they die, they create the conditions for new life to begin. Stars are truly the most amazing objects in the universe. We have learned a lot about the life cycle of stars in recent years. This is due in part to the development of new telescopes and other instruments that allow us to observe stars in greater detail than ever before. One such instrument is the James Webb Space Telescope. The James Webb Telescope is a large, powerful telescope that is designed to detect light from very distant stars and galaxies. It was launched in December of 2021 and is currently orbiting around the L2.A spot in space that is about 1.5 million kilometers away from Earth. The James Webb Telescope is already providing scientists with amazing new views of the universe. With this telescope, we will be able to learn even more about the life cycle of stars. Another instrument that is helping scientists learn more about the life cycle of stars is the ALMA radio telescope. The ALMA radio telescope is located in the Atacama Desert in Chile. It is the world's largest radio telescope and is used to detect radio waves from objects in space. Using ALMA, scientists have been able to track the movement of gas and dust in nebulae, which are the clouds of gas and dust where stars are born. This is helping us better understand the process of star formation, ZIG. In addition to these new instruments, scientists are also developing new models of stellar evolution. These models are computer simulations that help scientists understand the complex processes that occur in stars. One such model is the Geneva models, which are a set of models that simulate the entire life cycle of a star. With these models, scientists can test different hypotheses about stellar evolution and compare them to observations of real stars. This is helping us piece together the puzzle of stellar evolution. As we continue to learn more about the life cycle of stars, we will gain a better understanding of our place in the universe. Stars are truly the most amazing objects in the universe. They are responsible for creating the elements that make life possible. And when they die, they create the conditions for new life to begin. We are truly lucky to live in a universe full of stars. In addition to providing us with light and heat, stars also provide us with inspiration. For centuries, humans have looked up at the stars and wondered about our place in the universe. The vastness of space and the complexity of the life cycle of stars remind us just how small and insignificant we are. But at the same time, it also gives us hope. We know that even though we are small, we are part of something bigger than ourselves. And we know that even though life on Earth may be difficult at times, it is possible. Thanks to the stars, we can see that there is always hope for a brighter future. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment below to let me know what you thought. If you want to learn more about the life cycle of stars, I highly recommend checking out the James Webb Telescope website or the ALMA Observatory website. Both websites have amazing resources that can help you learn more about this fascinating topic. Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something new. Until next time, keep looking up.